Good. So tonight we talk about my child and my marriage. Very important one. Maybe we have it a little bit backwards because we always have this saying or this huge question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. But in this case, it's rather obvious that the relationship came first before the children came. So even if you're married or not, obviously the marriage, but if you're not married, the relationship still came first before the children came. So it's rather obvious. So, but what we do is we tend to be so intent on the children. And because they take so much time and so much energy, and because it is necessary to give that. I'm not saying it's not necessary, that's the problem. It's not that they are so selfish, it is just that they need 24 hours a day supervision. You can't leave it just a newborn baby just lying there. It has to be looked after all the time. So it kind of takes up all the attention, and suddenly all the effort goes into that little child, which often is a problem for our marriages. And it's such a natural process. It's something that happens without us realizing and without us noticing. And by the time we notice, it seems like a huge effort to reverse things, which it really isn't, but it seems like a huge effort. And we really have to get our heads around this and just keep our focus right. So if I can maybe draw a diagram here. They say a relationship in any team works like this. Now remember that the marriage is, in essence, it's a team. It's a team. You are put together for, amongst other things, the reason of raising children. So that's the team, is the marriage couple. So now in any kind of relationship, any team, it works like this, that you have two legs on which it works. And you can even close the triangle. But the heart or the relationship, oh, no, this pen won't work. And it was so nice and thick when I, okay. And then on the other end, you have the task. So you have the heart and the task. Now, when we get to know one another and we enter into the relationship, it's all about the heart. It's all about getting to know one another. It's all about all the excitement and the feeling and the feeling of being in love and liking this person and wanting to get them know and to get them better and doing fun things together. So and that's good. It's the bonding process that should eventually be enough or sufficient to form a lifelong relationship. The only problem is now when you get married, now life kicks in, reality kicks in, as they say. It's not a problem, it's just the reality, because now you, some people might even marry out of their parents' home, so they've never carried the full responsibility for a home. Or they may have shared a flat with other young men or women. So now they have to take that full responsibility on them, and suddenly they realize life isn't just about fun. There's work, there's a task. Someone has to cook, someone has to clean, someone has to do the washing. I mean, the dustbin has to be taken out, the car has to be serviced, stuff has to be done. Now, in our society today, we get married later and later, so most people are independent by that time, but still, to take care of two people, there's more work. You can share the task, but there is more work because it's now two people, and we have to get things done. The more people are added, you have to start planning, you have to start seeing. It's still all right, it's still nice. The emphasis is still on the heart. You still have more relationship than task, because taking care of two people, it's a bit more work, but it's not that bad, so we can still get along with it. But then, when you add a baby, that's now where the fun starts. And where it really, now, we almost completely goes over to that side. Because now, maybe for a few days or a week or so, it's really, everyone is about, oh, this little baby, and everyone is excited and sitting together, and, we're just enjoying this baby. But then reality kicks in, and this baby is not sleeping through the night, so everyone is now tired by now. And yes, especially if there's more and more children, the work really becomes it's a job. Now you have to see that everyone is fed and clothed and we're tired and, we don't feel so well always. So the tempers go and we're not so patient anymore and it's more difficult and there's more task than perhaps there's heart. So I think to realize that beforehand and to work against that thing, to start off on the right foot and to realize that this is what's going to happen and to not let it overtake us. It is one of the best things or one of the most fulfilling things to be able to have children of one's own. When you get there, it's really, you don't even think of the job as a job, but you have to do it. But sacrifice is too big for this child. And right there, we can easily get into a pattern where especially the mothers start giving so much attention. It really so, it really just encompasses their whole day, their whole being. It absorbs them completely. And to keep focus that is not the first and the most important relationship. The marriage really is the most important relationship. Even though this little being needs most of my attention, it's not the most important being. It's still about us, about the relationship, not about the children. So you have to really just get your focus right. To understand that even though most of your time goes there now, in your mind, this is the most important relationship. It's not so much that you can take that time away from that baby, but you have to keep focus. So we'll come to practical things later on but in today's society, unfortunately, I remember from when I was young, the saying was, children are heard, not seen. Or seen, not heard, sorry. Children are seen, not heard. So children also then took a lot of time. But I think there was a bit more focus on this. But in today's society, it's almost as if people feel that somehow they missed out. Somehow we did not have enough relationship. And there's a huge emphasis on relationship today, which is not wrong. But now we make a few assumptions and we make a few mistakes. In the sense that now we put our children before our marriage. And one person said it so aptly, he said, it looks as though parents are married to their children and not to each other. And that's the intensity of what happens in today's society. All our finances, all our attention, all our focus goes into giving these children everything that we think they need and that they want, and we will really just sacrifice everything because they've got to have it. See, but what about the marriage? So, and because children now see that, it's not so much said as that that's what they experience all the time, that I'm the most important being. They take advantage of it. Because children are not, they're not stupid. Okay? They can see what we're doing. And they quickly catch on, so they become manipulative. And they start taking advantage of being the center of the world, the center of the universe. They are so important. But that's not what we want to teach them. Because we are important. We are important as an individual, especially in God's eyes. He made us so unique. But in the bigger picture, we are just one more, what do you call this in the chain? Link in the chain. You know, in the bigger picture, we're one of many. We have to be able to work together in a group. We have to see that there's a place for every one of us. How sad if in doing that and giving your children everything, you lose your partner that is supposed to raise the children. Because without your partner, without the team to raise the children, I don't think you can do it properly. It was designed by God that two people would take the responsibility for how many children comes. And be able to do that because of the way He designed us, the way He designed the husband, the way He designed the wife, that together we can do it. But now we keep on breaking up the marriage relationship in order to give everything to the children. And that is not good in our society. Just to put it in that word, it's almost like we owe our spouses that love and respect that we promised them. We made that promise on our wedding day, and that's what it's about. It's something we owe them. But it's like, no, just wait for me. You know, I'm busy here. Can't you see this baby needs me? And it's not that that baby always needs you. Sometimes it becomes a convenient scapegoat for not wanting to give something more or not wanting to be there anymore. And relationship is like that. If we start closing up to one another, it's like we said in the beginning, it feels, it's not the truth, but it feels difficult to restore relationship again and to make it whole. It's not really the truth. Someone wrote to me, I think it was yesterday, got a letter from someone that I'm discipling on marriage, and she said to me, it's amazing how you can be in a situation where it feels absolutely disastrous, and how close it can be to absolute heaven. With just a few steps, it is just a few moves, and you're from the one opposite to the other. But to us, it feels like there's a huge gap between the two, but it's not really. And the most important thing is, how do I go about in my focus, in my heart? Where is my heart? My husband always says, what is your worship? Where's your worship? And I think if we think that through, it's a question of what is most important to you. And if it's most important to you, you will want to spend time on it. You will want to make an effort. You will want to focus on what's important to you. Even if you don't have all the time in the world or all the money or all the energy, you will still make an effort if it's important to you. And that's the same with our marriages and our relationships. If it's important to us, we will make an effort. And we will see in each other that there's an effort, there's a heart. And relationship is a atmosphere. It's not something that we say, I love you. Have you noticed that you can actually feel someone loves you? Just in the atmosphere. It's in your whole being. It's as if it's written there, but you haven't said a word. And someone can see when your husband or your wife comes into the room, you still, oh, wow, you're here. Is there still that, your eyes light up, your whole being lights up? Because that's what it was in the beginning. Isn't that true? That's what being in love is about, is, wow, you're here. I'm so glad you're here. And even if that's all the time you have with a newborn or maybe a few children at once or, different stages, and you have to concentrate and keep everything together, if your husband or your wife can still see that, wow, I'm still glad you're here, that's sometimes all that we need, is to know that we're still loved and we're still the most important person. There's small things. I remember with my mother, I will never forget. It was standard procedure. My father worked at the office, and he would come home in the afternoons. We would live in a small town, so it was so close he could actually walk home. He would come home, and she knows exactly when he comes home, especially, lunchtime, it was very focused. I mean, lunch has got to be on the table. When he walks in, it's there, it's ready, everything is set, and his food's almost dished up. He must just pray and we can eat, so that's it. But in the afternoons, especially what really made an impression on me was when he came home in the afternoons, she knows exactly when he'll walk through the gate. She would go to her room, put a clean dress on if necessary. If she'd been working in the home and she knew she was a bit dusty or not so clean anymore, she would put on a clean dress. She would brush her hair. She would put on some makeup or something and really make an effort and look fresh and clean when he comes home. And she would have, for him it was important, she would have the coffee ready. I mean, everything was in the cups. It was just the hot water was still got to be boiled. and she would watch him. We had a long driveway up to the house, and she would see him come in at the gate and put the kettle on. So when he walked in, she could just hand him his cup, and they would go sit down and have some time for themselves. But the effort, the focus, that went into it. And I remember when I was older, I would remark on it, and she said to me, you know what? When she grew up and she was a little girl, her mother made even the children wash before her father came home. She had to, they were 3 girls, and they may play all day, but before my grandfather came home, they all had to bath and dress clean, and they would sit there ready for him when he came in. Now, I was thinking about that, and can you imagine, even for that father, to see that there was such an effort to welcome him home, that the children is clean and ready and waiting for him when he came home, that appreciation of him as the father of the house, that respect. I think we've lost that. We've lost a lot of that. Our lives just go on, and it's just, oh, good, you're home. Sorry, I haven't cooked yet, it's, oh my goodness, it was a bit, and then we start explaining, we start making excuses why it was such a rough day, and this child and that one, and it was hectic, you weren't here. And but when I think back of that respect, that ordering my life in such a way that at least when my father came home, and my grandfather, for that, she hated it. It was terrible as a child to be able to have to be clean and washed by early in the afternoon, or it was still daylight, and they had to be washed and clean and sit there, and now they can't play again. Can you imagine? But at least for her, to be ready and to show him that respect, that admiration, that really just respect. That you are the head of the house, and for you, we are waiting. We are anxious for you to get home, and we prepared for you to show that physically. So we don't have to go to such extremes, but I think something of the gesture. See how it works in your life and apply it in your situation, in your circumstances. Even if everyone just gets up and rushes to the door and just welcomes Daddy home, because we are glad he's home. We waited for him. We missed him. It's not just, we have our life and you have yours, and we are so busy just coping, and it's hard to say, okay, well, now you can come and help out because we're glad you're here. Come and help out. This is crisis. And we feel like that sometimes. It's hard. It's hard having small babies and children. It's not easy. But for the father also to feel he's part of the team, he's appreciated for being there. Then we get the other side, of fathers thinking and I read the letter someone wrote the other day on how this husband, he was so proud of him being involved, and telling his wife constantly that he's so, she should be so grateful that he is so involved, because his friends, they are not involved at all, they couldn't care less, she's just got to cope with the babies and with the household. It's not his problem. He's a man. He brings in the money. It's not his problem. And she just kept quiet, and then one day she said to him, it's not just my children. It's nice of you. It's nice of you to help me. I'm so grateful you are helping, but you keep on rubbing it under my nose as though, she didn't say it in those words, but, gently telling him that, whose children are these? Whose home is this? Am I the only one responsible for doing it? And you are doing me a favor by contributing something. No, I don't want to tell you must contribute. I am grateful. But for you to rub it under my nose, I must be grateful. That's also not the right thing, because it is our children. It is our home. We are the team. We have to make this work. We have to be grateful to each other. We have to complement each other in this process. So it's not a you or me. It's us, the team. And not lose the team in the effort. Remember that the team came first, not the children. And the team must stand together. The team must protect each other and respect and admire and compliment each other, because we are doing a good job. And we are surviving, actually. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes it's a really survival game, but we are doing this. We're getting this right. and to keep that focus on each other, because it's about us. Remember my mother's older sister once said to her a few years back, she said to her, I just realized the following. My children were only in the home, each of them, and they raised 4 children and adopted one. My children were only in the home for 18 years, each of them. But we've now been married 30 years. 30 years. Almost double the time that my kids were in the house. Now, they've been married 50 years. So now who's more important? Who's more important? I'm asking you. The children who stay for 18, maybe a few more years, some of us, but more or less 20 years, they stay if they study from the home, and then they leave. And then who's going to stay behind? Us. Yeah. Do we still have something to say to each other? Do we still have a relationship left? And it's not so difficult. But if I don't guard my heart, if I don't guard my actions, if I don't give that relationship the priority that it is, it may end up that we are more intent on our children's happiness and seeing that they are happy than that our spouse is actually happy. We were 5 children. So my mother was quite busy herself. I mean, it was rather hectic in our house. We were 2 girls and then 3 boys, and I mean, raising 3 sons and then the 2 girls. And she had to do a lot of the work herself. She was very busy. But as I said, she did things like that. I remember small little things that made a huge impression on me. In a big family like that, you share out everything. Like treats, it's not like everyone can just take what they want. You share out so that it's fair. Everyone gets enough. So there would, most probably if you have a packet of sweets or something, there would always be an unequal number. So it would have been shared out, 7, and then 7 again, and then 7 again, and now there's 3 left. So who gets the other 3? It was very obvious. Daddy would get it. There was no argument. There was nothing about it. That's Daddy's. Don't you touch it. If it wasn't enough to be shared out amongst all of us again, it was his. And today, I see it the other way around. I see that the kids get it. I see that. I see my friends and I see they give it to the children. No. Whether it be a piece of cake or something, he's the father, he's the head of the house, he works hard, you are small, not so much sweets for you anyway. It makes perfect sense. We would argue that no, they are small, they can have more sweets. No, the father is older, he's working hard and he can do with that extra treat. So it's fine if he says, no, it's fine, you can have it, I don't want it. That's one thing. But just that respect, just that you are the most important person here, and if there's something special and it's yours, you have the decision over it. See the heart, the focus in that. We talked about the... One thing that, we said that the children can become really selfish, manipulative, arrogant. We think that we are doing them a favor by putting so much attention on them, really just, lavishing them with our love and just making so much of them, really affirming them as so important. And in a sense, that's what we should do. I mean, we've been talking about it for weeks now, about how important it is to raise a child and to show them that they're amazing. They're an amazing being. But if they think that they are more important than the marriage relationship, for one thing, then they start being really arrogant or manipulative. If they see that the marriage relationship is no longer stable, they feel insecure. We always draw it like this. If we are 2 people, I hope this thing, maybe if I go slow, it works better. If these are 2 people, and we say this is what they have in common, where they overlap, I remember that from math, okay? That is like the net in which the children are safe. So imagine if we can overlap more. What will happen to the children? But see what happens to the people. the more they overlap and the more they become one, the better their relationship is, the safer the children are. But once the couple starts pulling apart, the net becomes smaller and smaller for the children. And they start falling through. Because if the parents are fighting all the time, if the parents are in disarray, discord or not in unity about things, then the children feels, but something's not right. No, what's happening here? And it makes them insecure. And the younger they are also, they really just become so insecure. And they act out. They can become rebellious on account of that. They can start to manipulate the mother and the father, play us off against each other. Children often do that. They will see that we don't agree, so they take advantage. They come to the one, and if the one says no, then they go to the other parent and they say, I want this. They can even say, because you are not talking to each other, and they pick up on that, especially older children will quickly see, mommy and daddy's not talking to each other today, so I'm safe. I can easily tell them, daddy said I can do that, or I can have that. And mommy will just have to accept that because she's not talking to daddy today. And they know that. They can see that. It's an opportunity here that they make use of. And they do that. Children are quick to see that they can take opportunity. Especially the younger ones will just feel very, very insecure because of that. I don't think we have any idea of the impact, not only a marriage relationship that is not in unity, but especially if we can go to the extreme of divorce, if the impact that has on children and eventually on grown-ups. It is incredible the devastating reaction it has or results it has in people's lives. We are not honest enough about it. We're not putting in enough of an effort to prevent that. To realize that it hurts people. It hurts not just us, it hurts our children. And there will never be a relationship like the first one. The amount of unity that we have, God says we are bound to death. He says that we become one and we are bound until one of us dies. So for our children to always feel, they feel guilty. If things don't go right between mommy and daddy, it's like, what did I do wrong? What is my role in this? That somehow I must have done something wrong, because the parents are upset and they say things and do things, and without meaning to, the kids feel it's my fault. Mommy is upset with me, but they don't realize it's actually with daddy, so they feel it's their fault. Yes, parents think that if they are. We have a saying, actually, if I put it that way, that we must be our children's best friends. It sounds right, doesn't it? But it's not always true. We are not our children's best friends, not when they are young. We can have an incredibly intense relationship with our children, but we are not their best friends. Because if you are someone's best friend, it's very difficult to come in and say, you did that wrong. Don't do that. To have reprimand in a friendship relationship, have you ever tried that with your friends? Doesn't work out so well, does it? Parents are given to children to help them and to disciple them, not to be in the first place to be their best friends. Doesn't mean we don't have an intense relationship with our children. We can have a wonderful relationship with our children. We should have a wonderful relationship with them. But if we are best friends, it means that we are trying not to upset this relationship. We will do anything just to please them, to keep the relationship. And that's not good for kids. It's not good for them, because they see that they are so important. Everything is just about me, and I can just do whatever I want, and I can get away with everything I want. No, they need a parent. They only have two parents. They will only ever have two parents who will tell them, no, that's not right what you did. Now, eventually, remember we had the phases of development, and as we move through the different phases, and as I start opening up my arms more and more, and the child starts moving out more and more into the world, I lose that right to speak into their lives. And eventually, I think when they leave home, but about some things, I think at the latest when they get married, it's hands off. You no longer have the right as a parent to come in and say, I'm your parent, you must listen to me. You don't have that right anymore. They are on their own and they are responsible before God, and they must now raise their children. If they ask for it, you can give advice. But I wouldn't just barge in and give advice. You had your opportunity. You had your time to show them how it should be done. Now they must figure it out for themselves. If you have a friendship relationship with them, and they come to you, and they respect you enough to say, Mommy, Daddy, I don't know what to do here. This child of mine I don't know what to do. Do you know something that will work? Now you can offer advice, but not in a demanding, you have to listen to me tone. That should really not happen anymore. Otherwise, they will run away and they will not ask you for advice, and they will see it as that you don't trust them, you don't respect their authority in their homes. You must tread very carefully. But now you can be best friends, because now there's no longer that responsibility that you have for them. Now you can just enjoy them as equal adults who is taking responsibility in life, and you can be best friends. But when they are young and when you are training them, they are not your best friends. You are there to help them and to raise them and to grow them into responsible adults. And yes, we are doing fun things together. And if I haven't said it yet, it is extremely important not to give more training and more advice than you give relationship. Remember what we've done here as well, the heart and the task, especially with young children. Always, even if we add the discipline and the discipling, always keep equal parts of heart and task. That is that's the ideal. Okay? Never give more input and more discipline than you give attention. I found kids that have been very, very difficult, and then we found that the parents were very strict on them. They did not let them get away with anything. But in the end, it was not the discipline that was the problem. It was that the parents even the mother was at home, but she was so busy doing needlework and just keeping the house floating and everything in order, that she wasn't doing anything with those children. She was there. Yes, I give them some cool drink, I give them a cookie, I give them lunch, I put them to bed. I do everything. You see the task. I do everything, but not the heart. And my advice to a mother like that is, even if you have, in that case, 3 children, spend half an hour with that child alone. And that child changed just like that. Just like that. And we'd been praying and thinking and talking about trying different things, and nothing would work until eventually I realized, but she was home. And she's a very creative kind of mother. I couldn't think. And then eventually I clicked, and she made some needlework things, and I realized the effort that goes into it to make a profit the way she did. And I realized she's sitting hours and hours just working there. And the kids are there, but she's not really there. So never more on the task than on the relationship. Okay. Treat your spouse as special. And it's really a focus. I always say to young people, especially when they're in school, and we have this thing of, when we're young and we're in love, and it's for young people. But who of you have grandparents, or some of your grandparents' friends maybe, who have lost a spouse and they fall in love again? 70, 80 years old? You've seen that. They do the same things that teenagers or young adults do. They are just so in love. It's just so amazing. And it looks a bit silly. But we do look silly when we are like that. We just don't think so because we are young and this is our time on life. But when you're 80, it's still the same. So being in love is not for the unmarried. I'm going out on a limb here. Being in love is for marriage. It's a lifelong thing. But how do you fall in love? You focus on someone. Someone said the other day, everything starts with a thought. You don't build a house before you haven't thought about the house. And then you draw up the plans, and then you start building. Now, everything starts with a thought. Everything. You don't get involved in any relationship before you think and you make, even if it's an unconscious decision, I'm going to become involved with that person. And once you've made that decision, once that thought is there, then the amount of focus that you put into that relationship will determine what kind of relationship it will be. Isn't that true? If you fall in love, how much do you give it? 150%. That's a good answer. You really go over the top. That's why it looks so silly when you're maybe older. But you give everything and more. You give everything you can think of. You go over and beyond what you even thought you had to give. You think of new ways to please that person. You ask your friends, what more can I do? Help me out here, I'm out of ideas. You go read up on the subject sometimes. How do you treat someone special? How do you do things? I always tell the story of when we met before we got married. I was boarding with an old lady, and all we were allowed in our rooms was a TV braai. Now, I think most of you are too young to know what a TV braai is even, or what it looked like. But it had a base, and then it looked like this. It had a base, a little roof, almost like a little roof on top with pillars. And then it had the bottom here, which stood on legs. It looked just like that. But it was open. It was completely open. So it had a element in there, and I think one at the bottom as well. Not sure about the bottom one though.
There's normally water in a pan that when it drips or whatever, then it goes in there.
I didn't know about the water, if there was supposed to be water. but there's definitely an element. Ignorance, very, very, very dangerous thing that. Do you know what? I had a little thingy like this. It was supposed to warm up milk. It was my grandmother's. In the days before electric kettles, they would put it over the kettle. So whilst the water is boiling, the water as it is heating also heats up the milk. Very clever little thing that. And it just had a little handle on both sides, so it just hangs there in the kettle. And my mother gave me those. And I would use them on that little TV braai. It would just sit there. And because my husband, then my best friend, he has a very sweet tooth. Everyone who knows him knows that. So guess what I made him on that little TV braai? Fudge. With the element on top. I mean, it's not like it has this heat, because with fudge you have to have quite some heat. Well, even if it came out a bit sticky or a bit, even if it wasn't proper fudge, the idea was there. The heart was there. He didn't say a thing. He ate up everything. He did not complain at all. I made him some, banana bread. As it started rising, I would cut off the top slice. And the rest would go, and I would cut off the top slice. Don't ask me. I think I wanted it to work, so it worked. Because my heart was there to bless him, and that was all I could give. Okay, apart from buying things. But I wanted to make him something of my own, and that's what I did on that little TV braai. And that's what we are like. And don't lose that. That's the idea in marriage, is not to lose that focus, that wanting to bless you, that wanting to treat you, to do things for you. That's the important thing. So if we go on to the solutions, start spending time alone again. I know it's very difficult with a very tiny baby, but we sometimes neglect. And sometimes if family relationships are not always in place or they live far, try to get an extended family situation where even if it's just friends, even if you can just share out an evening a week maybe, or once a month, that you will look after their children once a month and they will look after your children once a month. People you can trust. If it's not a grandfather and a grandmother who would gladly look after your children, I'm quite sure they would. So, but then find someone else, maybe a brother or sister or cousins or friends, someone you can trust that child with, and just make some time alone. Just go out. Or even in the evenings, if you can get your baby to sleep through, and that's why some things are important, to have that discipline of teaching that child to sleep through the night, to have the night for yourself again, to really spend time together, to be able to switch off. To just get, because mothers don't switch off unless that baby is asleep. I promise you, it's a difficult thing to explain. It's impossible to explain, but it works that way, okay? We don't switch off if that baby is awake. We are responsible. They can be playing outside if they are a bit older. You're there, okay? You're only listening here with half an ear. You're out there. Because it's so built into us. That protective thing, that thing of nurturing, caring all the time, it's 100% job. We are there. We are focused. Once they fall asleep and we know they'll be asleep for this and this long, then we can switch off a little bit, okay? We can focus on something else. But spend time. Spend time just talking to each other again, hearing each other's heart, the way you had before they were children. Talk about something that you are excited about, something that you are grateful for, or something that's a challenge to you. We talked about discipleship, and discipleship is not just for the children, it's for us as a couple as well. That's the thing about hearing each other's heart. What makes you excited? And you know what's interesting about that? Life moves on. What excited you last week may not be what makes you excited this week anymore. It may be something that's finished. So you can't just remember that thing. You know, it's like we used to say, you know, having your Bible study early every morning because it's the fresh manna. Remember that? In a relationship, same thing. You have to spend time together on a regular basis. Make each other the most important. Even if it's 10 minutes, half an hour, even if it's just a short time every day, get yourself a place. And that helps as well. Get a specific place where you are comfortable, where you know this is our place to sit and relax. Teach the children, go play for half an hour. This is now mommy and daddy's time. We're having our time now. You go off and you play. When you can do that when they're older. When they're younger, of course, it's more difficult, but put them to bed. Okay. Stay connected during the day. How nice to have cell phones nowadays. Emails. We didn't have that when we got married. I mean, when you're out the door, you're out the door. That's it. There's no communication. But today, we can actually stay connected. I know life is busy, and I know we don't always have the time, but even maybe just once a day, just send an SMS. You know, I'm thinking about you. Are you all right? How did it go with that presentation you had to do, or that client, or whatever it was that had to be done, or just a message for each other to just show, I'm thinking of you. I'm still there in my thoughts. I'm not just so thankful that you're out the door so I can do other things. I'm missing you. That's the idea. Okay. Try something new together. You know, we have to make life fun. Life isn't just fun. It becomes task. As we said, it so easily becomes task. Make it fun. At one stage, us and the children, they actually were with, we went for ice skating lessons. Now that was a challenge. But it was so much fun. And we would go once a week, and I so enjoyed that, just the time we spent together as a family. But make times like that as a couple. Try new things, do small things, and it need not be big things, maybe just small things. Maybe we'll come back to that. Something that's very important, I know with our parents, and especially our grandparents, who grew up very, you should not show emotion, very reserved, and especially with the marriage relationship was very, they saw it as wrong to show that affection. But fortunately, times have changed, and I think it's a good thing to show affection to one another, especially in front of the children, so that they see mommy and daddy loves each other. And it's important for them to see that affection. And it's modeling that how it should be. And it's also showing them that your relationship is important. I've seen small children actually being jealous of mommy and daddy holding hands or kissing. And they can go on and, no, that's my mother, don't you dare touch her, put up a big scene. And it's important to show to them, hey, daddy is more important than you. I actually love daddy very much, okay? You're not the only one in my life. That they have to understand that it's not part of the deal. Yes, present a united front. We've talked about that, but be united. You are the team. You are the team. That child is part of the family, but you are the team. And always keep that in mind. You are united. Talk about things. Plan a strategy together. If you have problems with a specific situation with a child or not knowing how to react, this child's trying a new thing. They always try new things. Believe me, they always try something new. Talk about it with each other and say, all right, what will we do about this? How can we handle this? So that you feel you are the team. Even if it is talking about the children. Of course, we will talk a lot about the children. We will talk mostly about the children because they take so much of the attention. But then talk about it and plan together, have a strategy. And if you start talking together about it, it's that thing of it's our plan. We have to make it work. So we agree now, we will do it your way. If it doesn't work, then we can do it my way. But just agree on something and start working together, for goodness sake. Don't fight about it. You have 18 years to try out a lot of strategies. I'm telling you, time enough for your own strategy to be tried out at least a few times. So you'll get your part. Then intimacy is a priority. It's one of the things we become very tired, and I'm not used to normally talking about this maybe so much in front of the men, but I've spoken a lot to women groups, and this is really a tough one. It's very exhausting. I mean, we are really, really, really tired. I mean, just to get the household together and keep everything together. And I myself, I remember when I'm not a good sleeper, so the slightest thing will wake me up, and I lie awake and tossing and turning before I finally fall asleep. When I fell pregnant with our first baby, my head was not even there on the pillow yet, and I was gone. It was like my husband was still talking, and I was gone. That was it. I didn't even know I'd fallen asleep. I can sleep in a car. I started sleeping all over the place, and it wasn't me. I was just so tired. So it's not something that we're trying to. It's just a reality. We are tired, and our bodies take quite a beating. But make up your mind about relationship, and marriage relationship is about intimacy. It's incredibly important to prioritize it. Whether it's, you have to be flexible. Find a moment, number one. If that doesn't work, plan it. Anything is better than nothing, but it's your marriage, and you are going to make it work. And we understand that the baby needs attention and that they have a place, but we are more important, and intimacy is incredibly important. Sleep train the babies and keep them out of your bed. I've read something the other day on the internet, and I was so shocked about this baby, and it's written from the perspective of the baby, of, in the day, everyone is there for me, and at night, they just put me there in a bed, and I'm all alone, and nobody wants to pick me up, and I must now just sleep, and I can't understand, I'm so rejected. I was so shocked. I thought, my word. The parent wrote that, not the child. Telling them, no, you can have it in that way, my dear, shame. I feel so sorry for you. No. It's nice to put children in your bed early mornings or so. It's nice to cuddle together and have some time, but keep the baby out of your bed. For the most part of the night, they must know this is not their place. They've got their bed, they've got even their room. For the sake of having lots of older children, there wasn't always a specific room anymore for a baby. So some of our children, the later ones, would sleep in our room until about 2 years of age. And we would just, put a blanket on top so the light wouldn't wake them or something, and we would be quiet. But, they're asleep. They've got their own thing. They don't come into my bed. This is my bed. This is our bed. This is our place of being together. And in the mornings, they wake up early and they jump in bed with us, and we cuddle together, and it's nice and we have fun. But the rest of the night, don't want to see you. If you're sick, I'll go to your bed and I lie down there with you and I come back to our bed. It's not your place here. I'll go there and then come back, but you stay there. Okay? Share tasks. So we've talked about that. Share tasks to make life easier for both of you. Appreciate each other again. Compliment each other. We kind of neglect to do that. We become so used to each other. We become so used to just having to be there. Don't do that. Don't underappreciate the most important person in your life. Like we said here, 64 years. Imagine living with someone for 64 years. Don't become just, you're just there. If the excitement and the fun goes, it's not nice anymore for no one. But it's us. It's in our hands. We make it like that. We decide to fight. We decide to disagree. It's in your hands. We decide to make a fuss. We decide to be impatient with each other. Isn't that true? Nothing is as important as your marriage relationship. Apart from your relationship with God, obviously. But nothing on this earth is more important. Honestly, not even that baby. They are going to grow up, they are going to leave you, and they are going to lead their own lives. They'll come back and visit, but they're not going to stay. You and that person that you promised to love forever and ever, until death do us part, for better or worse, you're stuck with each other. And it's not just of making it work. Hey, have fun like you had when you decided to get married. Make it fun. Enjoy it. It's fun. It's great. And 64 years later, you can still say, this is the best thing that happened to me. You're the best person that happened to me. We're now married, going for 29 years. And it's still the best thing that I did, the best decision in my whole life, apart from saying yes to Jesus. It's the best decision in my life. And people say to me, you're too young, you should still go out and enjoy life and do your own thing. No, I'm enjoying my life. Is everything always good and nice? No, of course not. Of course not. Life is life, and we're different. We're not the same person. We make different decisions, and we have to live with that. But as I said to someone the other day, you know what? Nothing, no sacrifice is too big to make for the enjoyment and the unity of our relationship, because we reap the fruit of that. We reap the fruit of that. So enjoy your babies. Enjoy your children. They're amazing. I love them to pieces. I held them on my arm all day long. I so enjoyed them. But now they're grown. And now me and Daddy is left. And that's still the most important relationship.